let's go ahead and get started. And then, Corinne, thank you so much for being with us today and doing this for us. And Kat, we'll make this recording available to people who weren't able to be here, and then we'll promote it as well. So thank you for showing this to us, and I will turn it over to you. You can introduce yourself and then get going.
All right. So, hello, my name is Corinne Seister, and I am one of the remote librarians that is working with the library. So I am coming to you from my home in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm going to show you one of the library tools that we have called BrowZine. So let me set it up to share my screen real quick. And there we go. And make this a little smaller. I usually only share a portion of my screen because otherwise my screen's really big. So this is the library's homepage. If you haven't been to it for a few weeks, it looks different than it did before, but we've optimized it for display on mobile devices, as well as a little continuity among all of the library products that we have. So anything that is within our control will now have that consistent header, and from any page you can get to our most used and loved tools. So to get to the tool we're going to talk about today, BrowZine, you have the option underneath Find to go either directly to BrowZine, or if you go to the databases A to Z, you can go to the B's and go to BrowZine. So both of those will work. And we have it duplicated that way just so that if you bookmark the A to Z databases, you can get to it. And if you want to go straight to BrowZine, you can do that as well. So BrowZine, if you've never been to it before, you may have to log in with your Zula SSO. And you can also set up your own personal account, which I'll show you when we get to that. But what it is it's a more visual friendly platform that sits on top of our electronic subscriptions and allows you to get a really easy way of accessing journals so that you can keep up with your own professional reading, research, however. So one thing that you can do is you can start by searching for the title of something that you know. So I'm just going to pick something from their little thing over here, and you can see something pops up as I go. And if we don't have access to it, it won't show up here. But you can see whatever it is that we click on, we have it goes straight to this. Now, one of the things I want to point out is this warning up here. So a lot of our journals have what's called an embargo. And basically that's so the people who sell journals can get their money from their print journals or their subscriptions, and they do not provide access to it electronically anywhere outside of their own subscriptions for a certain period of time.
Now,
so one of the things...
Can I ask a quick question for there? So
yeah.
For mine, I use this like every single month for the journal Health Psychology, and I can access them. And that's because we have a subscription through our library? Correct. Okay, thank you.
So we have a subscription to this, but because of the embargo, there's a 1-year delay in which ones you can get. So you'll notice that there is a lock here on all these issues. But if I click on 2022, only volume 4 has the lock.
Okay.
But if I click on volume 3, there's no lock. I wish they had a lock sign on each of the individual articles. But you can see that without the lock sign, if I click on it, it will take you to just this and tells you it's not available. However, if we get to one that isn't locked, it should refer us through and take us directly to the version that's available to us. And we wait for it to do its spinning and loading. And now we have the full text of this article. So that's the first thing that BrowZine does, is it makes it really easy for you to both scan the table of contents of the most current issue, as well as connect to the full text of the article wherever we have it offered. So I'm going to go back here. And one of the other things that is nice is it allows you to browse based on your area of interest. So I'm going to go into biomedical and health sciences, and you can see that it has a lot of smaller areas within this. So you could narrow it down to, say, public health. And even within public health, you can narrow it down further to something like epidemiology. Once you have it narrowed down, it gives you everything that is related to that. By default, this is sorted by alphabetical. However, as we all know, that alphabet has no bearing on how important or the quality of the journal. So one thing that it does is allows you to sort by journal rank. And this is based off the Cymago journal and country ranking. And now you can see you have MMWR at the top, Nature Reviews Disease, European Journal of Epidemiology, and so on. And it gives you the journal ranking number as well right here on the cover. So from here, if you say, oh, you know what, I want to look at these Nature reviews on disease primers, you can then see there's no embargo because there's no locks. And you can click on any of these things and it should refer you directly to the item that you're looking for. In some cases, you might get this. So if you do get something like this, feel free to reach out to us and then we can help you in terms of figuring out why it's doing that, as well as fixing it or getting you the full text. So some of the stuff that you might be interested in reading can be pretty heavy. If you're researching, for example, stem cells, you may decide that you don't want to read it right now, or you have a situation like this where there's an embargo and you're like, well, I want to read it, but it's not available now, but I know it'll be available in a year from now. You have the option, outside of linking to the article and sharing the article, and exporting a citation, which it does integrate with Zotero and Mendeley, you have the option to save it to your articles. So if you click that and you haven't logged in yet, you can log in, and it's free to make an account. It's super easy.
It is super easy. Even I've done it. So if I have done it, it's super easy.
So you can see I already have general collection and create a new collection. So I'm going to say embargoed just as a collection. And that way it can save it to a place where I know, you know what, I want to go back to that. You can save it to multiple collections. So this one I'm not going to save to the general collection. Once you have that, you have then your list of articles. And for example, I can go to this embargoed one. And if I want to come back, I can revisit it every month to see what might be available. Or, and this is, you know, again, going back to my one critique of it, this is where it'd be really handy if there was a lock icon here.
Okay.
Because then I would know, oh no, it's still unavailable versus, oh, this one's now available. But go ahead.
Quick question for you here, and I don't want to divert to where you're headed. Okay, this part I have not used before. So because the library has access to this, I can create my own account and use it for these folders, correct?
Yes.
And then and I've got my account, I should know we can do this. So what is the benefit of doing it through here versus like a Zotero or something? Is it that it's not as rich in terms of like creating bibliographies and that kind of thing? Or what would you recommend? Do you recommend using this if we're going to be doing?
So the biggest difference is that Zotero's primary focus is for bibliographic management.
Yep.
In the sense that you intend to cite this in your work somewhere along the line. On the other hand, BrowZine is meant to help you with maintaining your reading. So you have the articles that you can save and go back to, regardless of what journal they're in. And you can see the one that is on both collections. They're easy enough to remove if you want it, or if you go back and you're like, you know what, I read this, it's not really what I want, or, you know, I'm done reading it. You can easily just click the X and delete the article.
That makes sense, reading versus the citation. Thank you. That makes sense.
Right. And it'll really make a difference when I show you the app.
Okay.
So you saw my articles. My bookshelf is actually a really nice way to organize everything, the journals that you want to follow. So you can see I have several journals here. You can organize and name your shelves. So if I were to go to bookcase 2 and I can say, I can say reference, even though I have reference and instruction up there, because there is a limit to 4 journals on each of these shelves. So you can kind of create your virtual bookcase, and the bookcase is what will get you your alerts. So you have your account, and if we go up to this little gear with your user settings, you can change the frequency of how often you get notifications for the journals that you've added to your bookshelf. You can reset your password, log out. You can have it linked to Zotero and Mendeley. And you can also go in, if you wanted to, and mark all the journals as read. So I'm not going to do that with this because I want to point out, and I'm going to, thank you, start a new share, and I should be able to here. Oh, let's just make sure. Good old plugins. And then I remembered I have it plugged in. So okay. I'm like, I know it's there. So this is my lovely iPad background. And if I open up the BrowZine app, you can see that it looks a little different. You have your journals, your bookcases as the main view. That's the first thing it puts into you. What's nice is that you can then get, oh, I'm clicking on it on the screen, forgetting already that it's my iPad. I can click on this and it sorts it out by volume and issue, and I just click on it and you can see already loading the PDF. And here I have the article. So what's nice is that the iPad app gives you the option to kind of look at it in the same way that you would if it were physically in print in front of you. It does have all of the same features of the app of the main website in terms of, and I can show them to you as soon as I move this out of the way. Okay. So it does have the same features in that you have your library that you can search for a title such as let's go drama psychiatry. So you have that available to you on the iPad as well, and you can see you can add it to the folder, and you can also find related journals. And if we go back, you can see that we have the option to browse by subject and have it sorted by alphabetical or journal rank as well. You can go back to my articles and read them this way, and you have access to your settings as well. It just looks a little different. The information is still all there. Another thing I wanted to point out, if you're on your bookshelf, is you can easily rearrange things by clicking and dragging. And once you do that, there's a thing that says done up here. And now it's rearranged it. So if you decide the organization isn't working for you, you can do that. You can also click edit, and you can completely delete a journal if you decide, you know what, I really am not ever going to go in and read community and junior college libraries. So I'm just going to delete it that way. So all of that, again, is available on the website. But it's really nice if you're, just sitting on your couch and you want to read something, and you can do that there. You do have the option, and I'm going to go back to my screen. You do have the option here to view it like a desktop app, and that will give you the options there. But it's one of those things where it depends on how your computer is and things like that. So the real benefit for the app as opposed to the desktop version is really just creating that more reader-friendly version for you. All right, so I'm going to look here really quick to make sure that I covered all of the things that I wanted to cover. So yes, any questions?
I've been using it. I realize as I look at this, I should, the ones that you were showing, I should probably, I don't know, I've used it like for the journals I use for class. It's kind of nice to have that focus in there, not have too many kind of come up. One thing I will say for anybody who wants to consider using it is you can also set it, and maybe this happens automatically. You can tell us that you can set it because it comes to my email, and it just says new version of health psychology, and I just right then on the spot go look at it and mark the ones that I want. Yeah.
Yep. So the email notifications are based off of your bookshelf.
Okay.
So I believe it will say like I get, library journal notifications. And again, like I said, you can easily click like mark them all as read, and then you don't have those as unread in here. But once you click into it, it marks it as read as well. But yeah, you have weekly notifications, daily notifications. Right now it's only email. And unfortunately, I may not have it set up this way, but in the app, I don't believe you can set it so that there's badges, which would be fantastic if it did that, but I don't believe it does.
And I'm sorry if I missed it. When you to get the app on your iPad, you download it from the App Store?
Yeah, so if here you have, it says like in this little iPad up here, that it's available for the Kindle, for Android, it's available on Google Play, and it's also available in the App Store. So it's available, if you're an iProduct user like I am, I can have it on my phone, my iPad, and my Mac desktop. I'm not sure how it works in terms of Google Play with a PC, because I have not tried that, despite having these options available in my house. So I probably should. And same, I don't know if there's anything that runs like the Amazon App Store for a PC or anything like that, but I've not done that or downloaded it to my Kindle.
Great.
And you also have the option to search by a DOI if you happen to, want to do that. It does take you out to LibKey, and that will look to see if we offer it in full text as well. If you're looking for something and you're like, well, it's not quite here. They have a pretty nice help section on BrowZine as well. They do offer other products, so you will have to go down to BrowZine here to see their FAQs and things like that. So, and it's pretty up to date, but it's a really easy to use, simple and straightforward product. But I like to highlight it because a lot of people see the word BrowZine and they don't necessarily know what that means or why they would want to look at a magazine. So, yeah, it's more like Brow Journal, but that doesn't sound as cool as BrowZine.
Yeah, it's been, and I see Camilla, welcome. I see that we have some other faculty members here. Well, like all I can say is that I've used it I've got one journal that I like using and assigning readings from class, and I've used it for that. And that way I don't have to go to PsycInfo and then find the journal, and then find the newest thing. And it's been really, really handy. So I vouch for it, but I appreciate seeing how you can save my articles too this time.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about that is I can sit there and, here I have, 15 articles that I've not read. And, again, it's really nice for the embargo thing where you're sitting there saying like, okay, I, need to look at this one, but it's not available. So I'm just going to save it to my articles. And because it's embargoed, I'll do that. Or I might see something here and it's not embargoed, but I'm like, oh, I need to, I should really read this. So I can save it to my articles, done. So rather than having to remember which one of the things in which journal it was, it's just right there in my general collection. And I can just click on it and read it. And it'll take me right to it. Where I will specify it should take you right to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because much like everything, it's not perfect.
Other questions? Camille, Lucy, or Mark, do y'all have other questions?
Not at the moment, but thank you for sharing. It's definitely a resource. I'm hoping to keep better track of journal articles as they're releasing new publications. So
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that's nice. There's a lot, and I mean, I don't know if you ever were subjected to like having the physical journals or being on a routing list for a physical journal. I know at my other institution, we had a physical journal routing list, and it would get passed along from person to person. And by the time it got to me, it was, 18 months old. So it's like, well, that's not as helpful as it would have been 18 months ago. So, it does get a little dated, and unfortunately we can't do anything about that with the embargo, but it is really helpful for keeping up with those things.
Camille, that's exactly how I've used it. I've used it to keep up with reading in the journals I need to keep up with, right? So I haven't used this, and I appreciate that explanation of why I was material for some of my projects, but for the my health cycles, if I could pay for the journal to browse on my desk, I would do it. This way it allows me to do it this way. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Well, if there are no further questions, then I'm going to stop sharing. And if anyone needs to reach out to me, they can on the library homepage. And they can either find me personally or send it to the library, general library, and just ask for help with BrowZine.
You sure will. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
I dropped a link to the workshop evaluation, so if you have a moment to fill that out, it's in the chat. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for this workshop, and also thank you for introducing it to me when I needed it back then. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
No problem.
I'll see y'all.
Bye.
Bye.